You have enough tissue? Or you want
Oh yeah, this is good.
Alright, cool. Yeah, alright, well, Bags is probably like fourth part of the episode.
Guys, Nick Paxson here.
And Nick's grateful to be with my inspiring friend Nick Paxson, author of Inner Space, Don't Believe Everything You Think. To me, it's one of the best recovery books I've ever read. Not that I've read a ton of recovery books, but it's like I said, it's right up there with Anthony Kiedis's Red Hot Chili Peppers recovery book. The flow-wise, it was amazing. And when speaking of the universe, someday at Sun Life Organic, he's an author in the recovery world, Colleen, and looking forward to interviewing him within 3 to 6 months. Personal friend of Anthony Kiedis, and whatever magic happens, it'd be an honor. Sure. But you got to start somewhere. I've been thinking of this show for over a year, and Nick, from my hometown, West Michigan, we're here in Ada, Michigan, and we're just
stars align.
Stars align, baby.
Brought us together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Shelley Rowan was the star, and I believe the spirit and other things too. And I'm not on any medication. I'm just myself, normal self.
Yeah,
and
me too.
A lot of the things we talk about, everything we're talking about is here is to help humanity live in recovery.
Yeah.
And it's all about Nick's Inner Space. I'm a big fan of the title and everything in the book, and we're here just talking in more in-depth about inner space. Don't believe everything you think, to hopefully inspire you if you're in the recovery world or you want to be in the recovery world, or better yet, you probably know somebody that needs to be in recovery. And there'll be a link on the bottom of this, on all these clips, where you can go to Amazon and purchase Inner Space to benefit your loved ones in their recovery journey.
Nice.
So
I like what you were talking about, or alluding to, being part of the solution.
Yeah.
You know, and that is what this is all about. There's a lot of problems in the world today, addiction being one of the big ones. All the jails, man, filled up with guys who are addicts and alcoholics. Not all of them, but a lot of it is addiction related. You know, I spent a lot of time in those jails, and I still do today, doing volunteer work, and a lot of it's alcohol and drug related, man.
And one thing I want to, and this is coming from someone whose dad made all of his money in the beer industry, so I didn't come from money, blue collar. My dad worked for beer distributing, Alliance Beverage, for 30 years. A lot of great people, but his income was derived on alcohol. And one thing I think is messed up with the United States of America, is one of my truth, is that we celebritize alcohol.
Oh yeah.
And alcohol's
glorify.
Yeah, and one thing I did like about Nick's book is I learned, like, glamour, what is a spell or something, right? Or do you remember?
An old translation, or I think how it got started, it used to be defined as a spell cast on you. And that couldn't be closer to the truth, because when I was a kid, watching things like Pulp Fiction, Goodfellas, the movie Blow.
Blow was
I loved it.
Blow was Johnny Depp.
And it made it look so cool, and I knew I wanted it. Before I'd even ever done drugs or took a drink, I just knew that's what I wanted. And that is why I'm skeptical about how much free will I have, because I was already programmed. That it touched me for some reason, and I can't explain why I wanted it.
Well, that's weird. This is my belief, but like those big corporations, they have billions of dollars in marketing money, and they literally, most men, obviously sex drives a lot of males, so like you'll see beer and sex go hand in hand. Like a lot of like your powerful
We're being programmed.
We're being programmed all the time.
Not even aware of
no
it.
clue, not clue at all, man. And like I was programmed. I was programmed as, because my dad. I love my dad. I come from loving blue collar, hard-working people, but like I was programmed as the beer man in high school and college, because I got picked up in a Miller Lite truck. So like literally my identity in high school and college was have a Miller Lite, you know, like those type of things. And then like that all got reinforced by my favorite sport was baseball, Tigers. Who's the Tigers' biggest sponsor? Miller Lite.
Of course.
So like
it's all around us.
It's a big circle, man. And like one thing I would like to see happen, not a political guy at all, I'm up the middle, but one thing I do like about other countries is like they don't promote big pharma and booze companies on the TV.
And the United States is one of the 2 countries that allows pharmaceutical companies direct to consumer advertising. We are being bombarded with this stuff. And as a young man, as any young person, we're just too naive to realize that those images are going in our brains, and they're staying in there, and they're influencing our behavior. And today, I'm kind of careful about what I put into my mind. I think the Bible even says, above all, guard thy heart, because everything flows from it. And they're talking about what we put into our brains and minds. And yeah, the movies had a big impact on me. And then seeing my dad drinking, I just gravitated towards people like that throughout my 20s. The risk takers, the alcoholics, the guys with DUIs, and I was just asleep at the wheel, not realizing what I was doing.
It was normal. It was like the only thing you knew.
Yeah,
that was
and
all
the
I
laws
knew.
of attraction. I just got along with these guys better.
Yeah, you're charismatic,
You know?
like energetic dude, so
Yeah.
you can typically attract.
And a lot of them were too. They were fun. Let's go do some coke and get laid and all
Yeah.
that stuff. But that stuff had consequences, man.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not willing to suffer the consequences of behavior like that today because I got a good life. And I feel like the spell was broken, you know, about how glamorous and glorious all that drug and alcohol stuff looks. Now I know the truth, man. You end up in handcuffs, behind bars, detoxing, throwing up, crap in your pants. And then seeing other, especially Wayne County Jail in Detroit, that was an ugly place, man. And I seen my future in there. A lot of guys with bullet holes, blind, handicapped from a life of drug and alcohol abuse. And it wasn't, I think about a couple of years after that, I think I sobered up because I didn't want to be 40 years old still going to county jail. But yeah, so, and a lot of this recovery journey, man, is about looking inward. And Neil Carlson, who was a neuroscientist, and he actually wrote the book, The Foundations of Behavioral Neuroscience. I remember in his introductory paragraph, and this is a scientist too. He said, the last frontier of this world, and perhaps the greatest one, lies within us. And that was so profound. You know, there's something magical in us, and I think in most of us it's dormant. We don't even know what's in there. And we talked about it in 2017 where I had that
white light experience.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, there's something, and I experienced it as God. He's right inside all of us.
I agree 100% with you, and I didn't realize that until a couple of years ago.
And God's like, look, I've been in here the whole time, man.
Right.
Dude, I didn't know because I'm
Stuck
in my head.
And
You know?
I believe it's in your heart.
Yes, exactly.
I believe, the creator's in the heart. That's
is,
my
man.
current belief. And that the heart's your energy source.
It
The heart's
is.
more energy.
And it knows the truth.
Exactly.
Our hearts know how we're supposed to treat each other, and they know that we're not supposed to drink and drug, but my mind convinced me otherwise. You know, and that was kind of that opening quote of the book about how my mind can deny the truth of the heart, you know. So there's like these two opposing energies going on, at least within me.
No, I agree with. I feel that same way,
You
and
know?
I feel like a lot of people in recovery do. And I don't want this to. I'm not paid by Betty Ford yet, but someday we believe they're going to sponsor it. But obviously we're in Grand Rapids, so I'm not a huge Bible thumper, but kind of going on that same line. Like my favorite verse that's on Betty Ford and President Ford's graveside is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5-7. Trust in the heart with all your understanding, lean on
Not on your own understanding.
And always,
I love that too.
Yeah, trust your heart with all your I've said this a million times. I'm drawing a blank, but yes, you know what I'm saying. Like trust in your heart.
Do not lean on your own understanding.
Yeah, then like lean on like God, He'll straighten your path.
Yeah. But
That's
what the hell is God though? Is what is so confusing. And for me personally, I had to do that prodigal son journey. You know, I went out there and did all the hedonism and debauchery, and I was so empty at the end. And now, 10 years into sobriety, I feel full again. You know, and I feel like I have a conscious contact with God again, and I lost it in my 20s. And I don't know what it is in there. I don't know the mechanics of how this stuff works, but I'm finally okay. You know, I'm not wanting to kill myself. I'm comfortably sober, but faith without works is dead.
That's a big one too. I feel like that's a huge one.
And I used to always think in order to have a relationship with God, I had to be in the front row of church with my hand up singing the gospel, and that has not been my experience, man. I still swear, I smoke cigars, I do dumb stuff, but I still have an intimate connection with my Creator, you know. And I'm rude and crude at times. My wife can tell you all about it.
Yeah. But no,
But
no one's
we're not
perfect.
supposed to be
You're
perfect.
Yeah, nobody's perfect, man. As long as you're just supposed to just live a better life, and that's what this show is, to tell your truth so people can live a better life.
Yeah.
Or, for the most part, or at least have that spiritual the 11th step. I think was pretty powerful.
Yeah, prayer, meditation, conscious contact, and I do pray every morning. I meditate every morning, and I read something positive, and then at night I practice gratitude. You know, and maybe I mean, I don't identify as a Christian, but I do follow a lot of those Christian principles. I don't identify as a Buddhist, but I practice principles and my life gets better. And I try not to debate what this God thing is, because I honestly, Steve, I don't know.
I don't think too many people know. I think.
How can we?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's just
What, the infinite is going to fit in the finite?
Not a chance. No chance. No.
You know, but I can feel it in there today. You know, and a lot of times when I experience God is in my relationship with others, man. So there's something powerful that happens in my relationships, my relationship with my wife, my friends, my family, and the better I treat them, the better I feel.
Right.
So maybe
it's the golden rule, man. Treat others like the way you like to be treated.
Yeah, I think it's a commandment, ain't it?
Something.
Do unto others.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most powerful things in the Bible. Not that we're Bible thumpers, but it's like one of Jesus' two main things is what I was told.
See, and I heard all this stuff throughout my 20s as a teenager, and I just couldn't get my head around it. And then I got into sobriety, and they broke this stuff. They dumbed it down for idiots like me. They're like, Nick, this is simple.
Right.
We're just gonna practice some principles, these 12 principle steps, whatever you want to call them. And it doesn't matter what you believe, Nick. It only matters what you do.
Right.
You know, how you're treating others. You know, are you asking the universe for guidance in the morning? And are you righting your wrongs? You know, are you saying you're sorry for pissing someone off? Things like that. And I never did that in my 20s. But so yeah, in sobriety, you know, I started paying attention to what was going on inside of me, and that is kind of that journey inward. And you know, and I know my mind lies to me today.
Right.
But there is an intelligence inside of me that it knows the truth. You know, and my mind tried to deny and rationalize and justify all my bad behavior, and it left me empty. You know, so I try to follow my principles and apply them. And I guess is what's most important about applying these principles is they need to be applied in the tough times is when it is the most important.
Right.
Because
and it's the hardest to do.
Yes.
Too. So how do you? Yeah, that's the golden tip. Yeah, that's the magic. Yeah, if you can
because
literally.
if I'm only applying my principles in the good times, then they're just hobbies.
Right.
They're not principles. They're like, oh yeah, I'll do that when I feel good.
Let's talk to the
about life, man. So, and that's when it's hard. You know,
Right.
Like a couple of weeks ago, you know, we're getting ready to move to Chicago.
Yeah.
My wife has this list for me, and I didn't like how she told me to do something and what she told me to do, and I could hear the gremlin get pissed. Nick, get out there and attack and defend.
Right.
And for some reason, I'm like, Nick, do nothing. Just say, okay, Jada, I'll do what you asked. And that's unusual for me, because usually I'm like, I gotta attack, don't tell me what to do, I'm 40 years old.
Right.
And that's the program working in my life, practicing restraint of pen and tongue. And I don't do it perfectly.
Nobody does. I don't think anybody does. Yeah, we're all human.
But yeah, man, there's some magic inside of us if we can turn in. And another thing that is very different with my life today, throughout my 20s when things would go good, and things started off pretty good for me. I got a great job right out of high school, good union job. When I was 21 years old, I made 99 grand.
Wow, you're
I am
top
so
of the world.
smart. Look at what Nick has done. This is all Nick. And then when things went bad in my 20s, I blamed God.
I think that's what most people do, though.
Yeah, God, where are you at? Why are you letting this happen to me? Today, it's the opposite. Today, when things go good, I'm like, thank you, God, for giving me this. And when things go bad, I'm like, Nick, what did you do wrong here? So it is crazy how those things flip-flopped. You know, it's spiritual axiom says when I'm disturbed, it's not the world, it's Nick.
Right.
You know, I have to make adjustments to my attitudes, and a lot of times when I do make mistakes, they're learning opportunities.
Right.
You know, like Thomas Edison, somebody asked him, God, do you feel like a failure that you failed 10,000 times making a light bulb? He said, nope, I learned 10,000 ways not to do it.
See, I think that's genius. See, those people I want to be around. Those type of, like that type of mindset's what you know, because you understand failure is a part of it, but then you just, boom, you just keep pushing forward, keep pushing forward. Like this thing right here. We got all this equipment, don't know how to use it. We're just talking in this cell phone.
Yeah.
But
we're learning.
We're learning. Yeah, we're going to be learning. I mean, learning, yeah, I'm going to do at least 100 episodes. I can do at least 100 is what I'm committed to my heart. So just learning and getting better every day, man. Like literally just trying to get a step better every single day. Learn the journey, which is very similar to recovery, man. Just try to get a step better every single day.
A lot of it's trial and error. Yeah. And I tell that to a lot of people in early sobriety, especially people in their 20s. For me, it was all trial and error. And I tried everything, and in the end, I was like, nothing works. I do not possess the answer to this problem. And unfortunately, I had to go through that trial and error period to know that my way is never going to work.
Right.
And I got a 25-year-old brother out there right now drinking, kind of dipping his toe in the recovery waters, not sure if he's an alcoholic, and I'm telling my parents, I'm like, hey guys, trial and error.
Right.
Jacob's a smart kid. I know he'll come through it, but I can't ram this stuff down his throat.
It just turns people away. It's like the same with religion. You can't push the Bible.
And you gotta let them suffer some pain too.
Exactly.
Pain is the price of admission.
Well, that's what I want to talk about. We talked a little bit about pain versus pleasure, man. I think that's key. Like when I was in Betty Ford, that was a big part of the pain versus pleasure.
Yeah.
And obviously pleasure was not good for the addiction, the gremlins. The gremlin loves the pleasure. That's all you pleasure. That's all you did. Right?
You pursue it to the point to where it's hurting you.
Or then it's not pleasure.
It's not even pleasurable anymore, and you're still going after it. And this happened in ancient Roman times. Alan Watts did a great bit about how they had the orgy baths and all the sex and food gluttony. And they pursued it to the point to where they were like, hey, let's build a coliseum and feed people to lions to get our rocks off. That's ugly.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
And then I'm like, so it can go into some ugly territories when you keep pursuing this thing way beyond what its intended purposes are. And it's important. I think psychologists talk about a pleasure-pain balance, pleasure-pain principle. And as humans, we're wired to pursue pleasure and avoid pain. And that concept right there is what led me into the gates of hell.
Yeah.
I just want to feel good all the time. And in the end, man, I was existing in a place of hell inside of me. And only Nick was experiencing it. And I was seeing all these happy people outside of me. So, heaven and hell, man, are real. I've experienced both in one life.
Inside you kind of too.
It is.
Wow, yeah.
Especially when you can't get away from yourself. That was the hardest thing. I'm like, how do I get away from me, God? Didn't Trent Reznor from 9 Inch Nails talk about help me get away from myself?
I think so, yeah.
That was what I was trying to do in my 20s, and drugs and alcohol were good in the beginning. Turning this thing off.
It's crazy that we listen to those guys too as the artists, or lifetime. Not that bad, but I'm saying like
it's
Kurt Cobain,
relatable.
all those guys. Like it's like.
And I was trying to escape myself, and finally 2 years into sobriety, man, an enormous distance got put between whatever me and like my body and mind, and that was what I always wanted. I needed some relief, And I talked about kind of how inner space came. The title came was, I remember my thoughts, they were miles away from me, and I thought, this is crazy that they're so far out there in the distance, because prior to that I was just engulfed, with a lot of fear, resentments, lust. I wanted to have sex with everything that moved, drugs, alcohol, and if I thought it, I believed it, but thank God that God showed up, man.
Yeah.
And gave me some distance here. So.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm glad he did, man, because you inspired me with your book. You're going to inspire more people once they read this book.
Yeah, there's hope, guys.
Yeah, there is hope. Yeah, that's the whole that's a big reason for this. It's just to spread hope, man, in the recovery world. And it's super grateful. I mean, for you to hear this story, break it down. We've been talking a long time. It feels like 5 minutes, man. So that's why I know we're doing something right here.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But awesome.
Want to do a pause?
I'll do a pause.
See what we can.
Face with one more thing. Yeah.